the drivers and teams that have put themselves at the top of the timing sheets. And ART Grand Prix, well, they've done that a fair few times in this format, haven't they?
I think they've done it in everything they've ever done.
Yeah, it's of course the team that took people like Lewis Hamilton and Nico Hülkenberg to championship wins in GP2, and of course Esteban Gutierrez in GP3 as well. So yeah, no doubt that they're going to be a team that will always be one to consider. So we're waiting for another couple of minutes before we see this final 2-minute dash to the flag, as it were. So what's your prediction, Alex? Do you think we're going to see anybody go any quicker, or is it maybe the fact that the tyres have cooled down, that second sort of heat cycle might affect them?
It's hard to call. I hope we're going to be able to see some people fighting for pole position. I think it's going to be difficult, but at the end of the day, I don't think anybody would be trying it if they genuinely didn't think that they had the chance to take the pole position away from Conor Daly.
If you look at that, the drivers in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, all less than 0.3 of a second away from pole, and even further down the order, right the way down, Alex Fontana, 0.6 of a second away. It's not until you get to Carlos Sainz Jr., who's had a somewhat subdued session by his very high standards, that you see anybody that's more than a second away from the time. Well, Ryan Cullen 19 seconds off is because he only did a couple of laps before he ended up in the gravel, so that explains that one, in case you're wondering what the problem was with Ryan. But great super slow-mo gives us an indication of what these cars look like. See the little rubbing strips just along the edge of the rear part of the floor there. That's there just to protect the bottom of the floor, I guess, is it?
Well, you'll be surprised actually how much downforce those create. Obviously, you remember the ground effect Formula 1 cars back in the day. They created an incredible amount of downforce from having side skirts, and I think that's just an easy way of finding additional downforce from the floor.
Yeah, of course, right back in the day, it was the sliding skirts that would touch the floor. Those of you like me are old enough to remember it when it was in its heyday. And that was a pretty awesome level of performance developed, of course, by Peter Wright and the team at Lotus back in the late 70s, 77, 78, when we first saw it come to fruition. Of course, the fabulous Lotus 79 being the car that first started dominance with that technology, right the way through to the end of 1980, when the skirts were banned in their current form. But anyway, on to 2013, a little bit more current, a lot more current. The next generations of Mario Andretti might be Conor Daly, being an American of another descendancy, like Mario was, coming, of course, from Italy originally, whereas Conor, of course, from Irish descendancy with his dad, the great Derek Daly. Very much influential element of Conor's career, and it seems like so often is the case, that the second generation driver quite often is the one that we take a lot of notice of. It seems to really be making a big impact. I think expecting good things. Now, we've got, as you can see, just under 50 seconds remaining. So it's going to be really who can get the best out of the tyres and who can get themselves a little bit of space, not get balked, I think, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking, if I was Facu Regalia, I'd be making a real big point to take as long as I can to get as much heat in my tyres before I start my one last flying lap. Yeah, try and keep your track position at the front, and just take as long as you want to get the temperature in, and just try everything you can on that last lap.
So just looking at the timing screens, there's a couple of drivers that a bit further down than perhaps we would have expected, specifically Niederhauser and Sainz Jr. Niederhauser currently 15th and Sainz 19th. That's not what we would have expected as we look at Carlos Sainz. And who was a winner in, now he's up on, now is that up overall, is that up on his personal best? So let's have a look. It's showing as a 19.332, so I think that must be up on his.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some fast first sectors. Regalia's first sector is not bad at all. And Eric Lichtenstein, no.
Yeah, Lichtenstein looking quite good. So let's focus back on the screens and see what Sainz can do. He comes through this very difficult section on the top part of the lap. Remember, it's just over 4 kilometers and it's an anti-clockwise circuit here at Circuito Ricardo Tono. And we're going to watch with interest to see what Sainz can do. He's lost time in that second sector, goes through that very difficult First bit of turn 12 into this long sweeping left at the end of the lap before they brake hard into the final turn and then power down the straight. Don't think this is going to be enough for Science. He's going to get the checkered flag this time, as you can see.
Should definitely put him up on further time.
Yeah, 9th. That's more like it.
Yeah, a bit more like it for Carlos there. I think I'm not sure what happened to him during the session. Maybe he had some car troubles, or yeah, certainly very unlike him. We were expecting him to be fighting for pole position. It's a shame, really.
So let's see. Wyatt's now taken the checkered flag. He's not improved on that lap. 1:22.723 for him. Nick Yellerly still on a lap at the moment, I think, or did he not go back? Gomez, she's currently 24. I've had a little drama in free practice this morning. A very distinctive logo on the side, very familiar to those of you who watch F1 regularly, as the similar support as a certain Mr. Pastor Maldonado has from the Venezuelan government, so clearly getting behind their drivers. She seems to have stayed out of trouble a little bit more than a certain other Venezuelan driver called Chicoto, who seems to be causing a bit of controversy at the moment. Although we were discussing this earlier, he got involved in an incident in Monaco in the first race where he outbraked himself and had an off, and then unfortunately about 7 or 8 cars behind him got caught up. And I think we were of the opinion, Alex, that perhaps the punishment didn't fit that particular crime, that he hadn't actually done that much wrong, but some of the ones before that he didn't get as punished for were pretty hardcore.
Yeah, no, I think that one in Monaco was just a genuine mistake, but it looks like that's about that in terms of qualifying. Looks like Conor Daly's going to be taking what is his first pole position of this year, and you know, well done to him. That was a pretty mega lap, and looks like he's going to be joined on the front row by Danny Kvyat, and well done to Nick Yellerly. That's a real shame he didn't put it on pole. He looked very, very strong there for a second, but yeah, that's the nature of a championship like this. It's very, very close.
But in fact, you know, as we said, Wyatt, Yellerly, Regalia, Vino, Corjus, all going down to Corjus, all less than 0.3 of a second, between 2 and 0.3 away from that pole time of Conor Daly. But that was a special lap from Conor Daly. Just absolutely was hooked up everywhere around the lap. And if he can repeat 2 or 3 laps of that ilk in the early part of the race, he'll have broken away from everybody so significantly that that would be job done. So let's get a chance to confirm then. Conor Daly takes pole by 0.207 ahead of Daniel Wyatt. Then Nick Yellerly, great performance by the Englishman. Then Fatou Regalia, Arovino, Kevin Kurjus. Championship leader Teo Ellinas in 7th, ahead of his teammate Dino Zamparelli. My apologies, Dino, the Bristolian driver. Then Carlos Sainz Jr., good performance at the end from him. Vizoyu, Jack Harvey and David Fumanelli will round out the top 12 of qualifying here at Valencia. Further down, Lewis Williamson and Melville McKee, both for Bamboo Engineering, on almost an identical time. Venturini, Niederhauser second in the championship, will be very frustrated. Genza clearly not quite having the day that they would have liked. Further down, Adley Fong, who went off at the end. Kajala, Liechtenstein's on Zini. Josh Webster in the 9 car, and La Silva ahead of Gomez. And then right at the back, we saw some dramas for Ryan Cullen, who went off early on and unfortunately wasn't able to set a meaningful time. So 2 races on Sunday. We're going to be watching with great interest to see whether Conor Daly can repeat the form that he's seen today. But some interesting stuff out there, would you say, Alex? We're really impressed with the performance by Daly, amongst others. Yellerly, another one. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what the tyre degradation is going to be like tomorrow. It seems that it's not too bad, so we could actually be seeing some really good racing. I think Conor Daly's just going to be stressing now about making that perfect start, and he's just going to be trying to drive away and make it a very boring race for us all. But I'm sure that Danny Kvyat and Nick will have definitely something to say about that.
Well, when it's that close as it was in that session, certainly amongst the top 6 or 7 drivers, then I think we're going to be in for anything other than a boring race. It should give us some fabulous close action in terms of lap times, and it'll be interesting to see drivers like Niederhauser maybe trying to come through. Going to be a big challenge on a difficult circuit in what's going to be some very demanding conditions for all of the teams and drivers. But yeah, Daly just dragged it out when it mattered, but will be very interesting to see Zamparelli, drivers like that in the midfield. Now, this is a bit of